Hey guys, Julie here. You could see how dark my room is, except for this area. Look how ghetto my setup is. Like this, oh, it's really hard to see. This here is a pillowcase that I cut up and I literally tied with a hair tie. And I have some poster board here that's supposed to reflect the light or something like that. And I have my little placemat. So on this side is the fake wood, and here I'm trying something a little new. So I have this backdrop. I'm not sure if that's any better, but I wanted to do something a bit different. Today I have my Canson mixed media sketchbook that is kind of a hot mess, but that's fine. And the reason I have this book out and not my Arteza watercolor paper that I've been raving about lately is because I want to do a cheap art supply challenge, and instead of taking a trip to the dollar store, I am just gonna go to my bathroom. And I know, okay, I know, really weird place to store art supplies, but here I have my Crayolas. I also have, what else do I have in here? I have dollar store acrylic paints, which I don't think I'm gonna use. I might use some white. We can use that for highlights. Okay, so we have these two here. Perfect. And now we're gonna go over here. Where did I keep it? Ah, there it is. My Prang Watercolors.
And what else do we have? Let me see. I have my Prang paintbrush somewhere. Where is it? Liquitex? Nope. Where are you?
Okay, I have no idea where my Prang brush is, but I have this Liquitex Basics brush that I actually got free off of Craigslist, so technically it falls under the cheap art supply challenge, I guess. Oh, also my nails, I know, super ratchet, but it's fine. Let's see, and my room is also a mess. I am going to grab a big mechanical pencil
And a jar of water. Probably have to get some fresh water. Big mechanical pencil, which came in a pack of like 12 for $2. I'm also gonna grab my beloved, where are you? My beloved Sharpie pen, which is, I think, $2 at Walmart. So super affordable.
This clearly isn't a dollar store challenge, but it is a cheap art supply challenge. And all of these, you know, I feel pretty good about this. I feel like I can make something pretty decent. These Prang watercolors are probably the best ones you can find for such an affordable price. Crayolas, of course, are not too bad, especially if you're just planning to add some texture. This I still use to this day, along with my Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pen. I always use these big pencils here, and I always use random cheap brushes. So all is good. I have no idea what I'm gonna draw, but I'm gonna pull a page out of this book here and we'll get at it. Hey y'all, voiceover here. I'm fully aware that the cheap art supply challenge is a bit outdated, but this channel wasn't even an art channel back when the challenge exploded. So I figured, why the heck not chase after a long gone bandwagon? Let's just do it. Fun fact, the only artist grade supply I own are my Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. That's it. I purchased 132 of them for like 40 Canadian dollars, so I didn't even spend that much on them. What I'm trying to say is that I'm a cheap ass. And no, not by choice. The reason why I'm always on a budget is because I'm simply broke. Also, I'm not a professional artist, and high-grade art supplies still kind of scare me. It already cuts deep to create a piece that turns out pretty bad, but could you imagine the pain you'd experience if you created something terrible using your $150 palette? No, 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 not happening, not in my house. I didn't even have to leave home to retrieve cheap art supplies. Because when you're broke and an amateur, cheap art supplies are all you really know. Okay, in all seriousness, I really appreciate quality. That's why I absolutely rave about my Mei Liang watercolor set. The paints are stunning and most of the colors are light fast. Yet the entire palette cost $30 to $40 on Amazon. And I know 30 could be a lot. Heck, I hesitate to spend $5 on something. Yet for some reason, when it comes to delicious food, there's simply no limit. I know y'all know what I'm saying. But I'm telling you, the Mei Liang palette is quite worthwhile. If you're searching for a palette in the $20 to $40 range, it's probably one of the best. If, however, you don't want to spend more than $10, the Prang Watercolor palette is the absolute best way to go. I'm definitely not the only person who shares this sentiment. These paints are beautiful. The Emily Artful gave them raving reviews, among others who I will link below. Since I've worked with my 32 color palette for so long, I wasn't used to having a limit of 12 colors, but it was a great way to practice my color theory. I essentially toned all of the colors down by adding their opposites on the color wheel, and that managed to do the trick. I do think my values could have been more clearly defined, but overall, I'm fairly happy with this character sketch. When sketching her, I had a lot of trouble getting the placement of her back pockets right. And I don't know why this was so difficult, but man, they really got me. I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've drawn a back-facing character. So the fact that out of all of my struggles, back pockets were the most difficult, that's a win in my eyes. Like, you can definitely pick apart my anatomy, but I feel like it's pretty good overall, at least by my standards. I ended up lining her with not my Sharpie pen, but with a dark purple colored pencil. I thought it suited the look a bit more. I also used this colored pencil to emphasize shadows and add texture to them. And because I felt that I was missing a little something, I decided to add a tinge of green to the highlights. And honestly, I wish I added a little bit more. I've been pretty obsessed with adding a dash of lime green to the lighter areas of a character or a portrait. It just adds a bit of that je ne sais quoi, which of course is always welcome. Finally, I used the dollar store acrylic paint for highlights. And it worked as you'd expect any sort of white acrylic paint to. Nothing groundbreaking here. Because I felt that grabbing my second smaller brush would be cheating, I used the tip of my mechanical pencil instead. I don't remember how much my tiny brush cost, but I do remember being surprised over how much it was. Honestly, it was probably only like $5 or something, but I don't remember. Side note, I'm digging the illusion that my new placemat is giving off. It almost looks like I actually get sunlight in my room. What a lie. I love it. Finally, throughout the week, I found myself binge watching a ton of old Chloe Rose art videos. I really enjoy her content overall, but her older videos were just cool, calm, and conversational, which, if you couldn't already tell, is more my style. But I do enjoy her, and I still catch nearly every video she uploads. I'll link to her channel down below, but I'm sure every single one of you have come across her at least a few times. And that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you are a fellow broke amateur artist, own that shit. Cheap art supplies for the win. Anyways, subscribe, like, dislike, do your thing. And spoiler alert, next week's video will be on making handmade crayons. So stay tuned for that. Until then, stay creative. Peace.